Stop right now, wherever you are. Stop scrolling. Stop pretending you're fine because you're not fine. You're tired of waiting for someone to save you. You're tired of checking your phone, hoping somebody notices you're drowning. You're tired of building your peace on people who can barely hold their own. And somewhere deep down, in a place you don't talk about, you already know the truth. Nobody is coming. No text message is going to fix this. No relationship is going to complete you. No friend, no parent, no lover, no stranger on a stage. Nobody is going to hand you peace like a gift wrapped in a bow. Peace was never out there. It was never in her arms. It was never in his approval. It was never in the group chat, in the likes, in the applause. Peace was always in here. In the quiet room you keep avoiding. In the silence you keep drowning out with noise because silence forces you to sit with yourself. And some of you haven't sat with yourself in years. So today we're going to sit down. Just you and you. No audience, no performance, no mask. Today we build peace the only way it's ever been built. Alone, on purpose, on your own 2 feet. The lie you were sold. Somebody lied to you. Maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it was a movie. Maybe it was a song. Maybe it was your mother, your father, a preacher, a friend. Somebody told you, without even meaning to, that happiness comes from somebody else. Find the right person, they said, and you'll never feel alone again. Get the right job, and you'll finally feel like you matter. Get the applause, get the followers, get the family's approval, and then you'll finally be at peace. So you chased it. You bent yourself into shapes you didn't recognize just to be loved. You silenced your own voice just to keep the peace with people who never gave you any. You performed. You people-pleased. You shrunk yourself down to fit into rooms that were never built for you. And still, you went home and felt empty. Because here's the truth nobody tells you in the beginning. You cannot outsource your peace. You cannot rent it. You cannot borrow it. You cannot beg somebody else to carry what only you were built to carry. Every time you hand your peace to another person, you hand them the power to take it away. Every time your joy depends on their mood, their words, their presence, you have made yourself a prisoner in a cell with no lock because you gave them the key. And that's not living. That's surviving on borrowed light. You were not born to survive on borrowed light. You were born with a fire already inside you. There's a room inside every one of us. Yet still, sometimes dark. Most people run from that room their whole lives. They fill their days with noise so they never have to walk in. Television, parties, relationships, substances, endless scrolling at 2 in the morning, anything to keep from hearing their own thoughts. Because in that room, there are questions. Who am I if nobody's watching? What do I actually want when nobody's opinion is in the room? Am I proud of the person I've become? Those questions are heavy, so people avoid the room. But listen to me. That room is not your enemy. That room is the doorway. Every person who has ever found real peace, real strength, real power, they walked into that room first. Not the room of noise, not the room of distraction, but the quiet room, the one with no witnesses. Because peace does not live in the crowd. Peace does not live in the noise. Peace lives in the room you've been too afraid to enter. So today, I'm asking you to walk in. Not because it's comfortable, it's not going to be comfortable. But comfort was never the goal. Freedom was the goal. And freedom always starts in a room you didn't want to enter. Let's talk about the pain that made you numb, the pain that made you quiet, the pain that made you build walls so high even you can't see over them anymore. You've been treating your pain like a wound that needs to be hidden, but your pain is not a wound. Your pain is a teacher. Every scar on your spirit is a lesson written in a language only you can read. The betrayal that broke you, it taught you who to trust and who to walk away from. The failure that humbled you, it taught you that you are not made of glass. You bent, you didn't shatter. The loneliness that hollowed you out, it taught you how loud silence can scream. And it taught you that you survived it anyway. Pain either breaks you or it builds you. And the difference between the two is not the size of the pain, it's what you decide to do with it. Some people take their pain and let it turn into bitterness. It poisons them slowly. It shows up in their tone, in their trust, in the way they can't let anybody get close anymore. Other people take that same pain, the same betrayal, the same failure, the same loss, and they turn it into fuel. They say, "This pain will not be the end of my story. It will be the chapter where everything changed." You get to choose which one you become. Nobody else chooses that for you. Not your past, not the people who hurt you, not the circumstances that knocked you down. You choose. And I need you to choose today, right now, that your pain is going to build you, not bury you. Discipline is love in its rawest form. You want peace? Then you need discipline, not motivation. Motivation is a spark. It burns bright and it burns out. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark is gone. Discipline is what gets you up when the bed feels safer than the world. Discipline is what makes you drink the water instead of the poison. Discipline is what makes you go to bed on time instead of numbing out for another 3 hours. Discipline is what makes you show up to train your body, your mind, your business, your craft, even when nobody's clapping, especially when nobody's watching. Because discipline is not about looking good in front of others. Discipline is what you do in the dark that gives you the strength to stand in the light. Discipline is a form of self-respect. It says, "I love myself enough to do the hard thing today so tomorrow doesn't punish me for my excuses." Most people want peace, but they're not willing to build the structure that peace requires. Peace is not chaos with a candle lit in the corner. Peace is order. Peace is routine. Peace is knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for, even when the whole world is shaking. You cannot meditate your way into peace if your life is falling apart from neglect. You cannot manifest your way into peace if you're not managing your money, your time, your health, your word. Discipline builds the container that peace can actually live inside. Without discipline, peace has nowhere to stand. It just floats away the moment life gets hard again. So if you want peace that lasts, not peace for a weekend, not peace for a vacation, but peace for a lifetime, you're going to need to become disciplined. Not perfect. Disciplined. There's a difference. Perfection says, if I fail once, I'm a failure. Discipline says, I failed today, so tomorrow I show up again. Discipline doesn't need applause. Discipline doesn't need permission. Discipline just needs you to keep your word to yourself, one day at a time, until keeping your word becomes who you are. Solitude is not loneliness. Somebody sold you another lie. That being alone means you're lonely. No. Loneliness is a feeling of lack. Solitude is a state of power. Loneliness says, nobody wants me. Solitude says, I choose this silence because in this silence, I hear myself think clearly for the first time in years. Every king, every builder, every warrior who ever changed the world, they didn't become who they were in the middle of a crowd. They became who they were in solitude. In the desert, in the workshop, in the empty gym at 5 a.m, in the quiet drive home when the radio's off and it's just them and their thoughts. Solitude is where you meet the version of yourself that the noise has been hiding. You've been so afraid of being alone that you never gave yourself the chance to find out how strong you actually are. You filled every silence with a phone call, a message, a distraction, because deep down, you were scared of what you'd hear if it got quiet. But I need you to understand something. The people who fear being alone the most are usually the people who have never truly gotten to know themselves. And the people who are the most at peace are usually the people who have made peace with their own company. You don't need somebody in the room for you to feel whole. You need to walk into that room alone and realize, I am still standing. I am still breathing. I am still here, and I am enough. That is not weakness. That is the deepest kind of strength there is. Stop waiting for permission you've been waiting for. Waiting for the apology that's never coming. Waiting for the relationship to fix itself. Waiting for somebody to say you're allowed to start now. Nobody is going to give you that permission. You have to give it to yourself. You are allowed to close the door on people who only bring you chaos. You are allowed to walk away from rooms where your peace is treated like a joke. You are allowed to build a life that doesn't require anyone's approval to feel complete. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself to people who are never trying to understand you in the first place. Stop waiting for someone to hand you the green light. You are the green light. You always were. The moment you stop waiting for permission is the moment your real life begins. Build the inner voice that never abandons you. Here's what nobody tells you about being alone. The hardest part isn't the silence. The hardest part is your own voice. Because if you've spent years criticizing yourself, tearing yourself down, calling yourself lazy, stupid, not enough, then when it finally gets quiet, that voice gets louder. And if that's the only voice you've got in that silence, of course you run from it. Of course you fill every quiet moment with noise. Who wants to sit alone with a bully? So before you can find peace alone, you have to fire the bully living in your head. You have to become the voice that speaks to you the way you'd speak to somebody you love. Not soft, not weak, not making excuses for you, but strong, honest, on your side. The voice that says, "You didn't get it right today, but you're not done. Get up. Try again tomorrow. Yes, that hurt. Yes, you have every right to feel it. And also, you are strong enough to carry this and keep walking. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to not quit on yourself." That voice does not come naturally. You have to build it the same way you'd build a muscle. Repetition, discipline, time. Every time you catch yourself tearing yourself down, interrupt it. Every time you catch yourself calling yourself worthless, interrupt it. Say instead, "I am learning. I am healing. I am becoming." Because the relationship you have with your own mind is the one relationship you can never walk away from. You will spend every single day, every single night, every single silence with that voice. Make it a voice that builds you, not one that buries you. The discipline of daily peace is not an accident. It's a practice. You don't stumble into peace once and keep it forever. You build it brick by brick, every single day. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. Wake up before the world starts demanding things from you. Even 10 minutes, even 5, just enough time to hear your own thoughts before the noise of everyone else's expectations comes crashing in. Move your body, not for anyone's approval, not to look a certain way for the world. Move your body because a strong body carries a strong mind, and a strong mind is harder to shake. Watch what you feed your spirit. The people you follow, the shows you watch, the conversations you keep having, all of it is either feeding your peace or feeding your chaos. Choose carefully. Say no. Practice it. Say no to what drains you. Say no to the version of you that used to shrink just to keep others comfortable. Write it down. Whatever's loud in your head, write it down. Get it out of the noise in your skull and onto a page where you can actually look at it and deal with it. Sit in silence, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. That discomfort is just an old habit dying. Let it die. None of this is complicated. But none of it is easy either, because discipline is simple. It's just not comfortable. And peace was never going to be found in the comfortable choice. Peace is found in the disciplined one. When the world doesn't clap for you, some of you are doing everything right and still nobody's clapping. You're showing up. You're trying. You're healing in silence. And it feels like the world hasn't even noticed. I need you to hear this. The world doesn't have to clap for your growth to be real. Some of the strongest transformations in human history happened where nobody was watching. The muscle built in an empty gym. The book written in a quiet room with no publisher yet. The sober morning nobody congratulated you for, because nobody even knew you were fighting that battle the night before. Real strength is built in rooms with no audience. If you're waiting for applause to know you're doing it right, you'll quit the moment the applause doesn't come. But if you build the habit of clapping for yourself, quietly, internally, consistently, you will never run out of motivation because the source is inside you now, not out there, not dependent on anyone noticing. You don't need a witness to your growth. You are the witness. And one day the results will speak so loud the whole world will hear it whether you ask them to or not. But by then, you won't even need them to clap because you'll already know what you built. The turning point. There's a moment, and if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's coming. A moment where you get tired. Not tired like sleepy, tired like done. Done begging people to see your worth. Done shrinking to fit rooms too small for who you're becoming. Done waiting on a phone that isn't ringing. Done handing your joy to people who drop it every time. And in that moment, something shifts. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. Nobody sees it happen. But you feel it. Something in you stands up straighter. Something in you says, enough, enough begging, enough shrinking, enough waiting. I will build my own peace with my own hands. Starting today. That's the turning point. And if you're hearing this right now, if something in your chest just tightened, if your eyes just stung a little, that's not weakness. That's your turning point trying to happen. Let it happen. Rise. Stand up. I don't care where you are. I don't care if it's your car, your room, your kitchen at midnight. Stand up, because it's time to stop talking about change and start becoming it. You have cried enough tears into pillows that never asked you why you were crying. You have given enough energy to people who never gave it back. You have spent enough nights wondering if you're ever going to be okay. You are going to be okay. Not because somebody is coming to rescue you, but because you are done waiting to be rescued. You are the rescue. You are always the rescue. Every single time you thought you needed someone else to save you, the truth is, you were building the very strength that would save yourself. You just didn't see it yet. Now you see it. Discipline is your new religion. Silence is your new sanctuary. Your own word, the promises you make to yourself and keep, that is your new currency. And you are about to become the richest person you have ever known. Not in money, in peace. In the kind of peace that doesn't crack when someone leaves. In the kind of peace that doesn't shatter when the phone doesn't ring. In the kind of peace that stands like a mountain in a storm because it was built stone by stone, alone, on purpose, by you. You owe yourself this. You have given everyone else the best version of you, your patience, your loyalty, your forgiveness, your energy. You gave it to people who didn't even ask if you had any left to give. It's time to give some of that to yourself. You owe yourself patience when you're healing slowly. You owe yourself loyalty when the world tells you to doubt your own path. You owe yourself forgiveness for every year you spent chasing peace in places that never had any to give. You owe yourself the same energy you've been pouring into everyone else's dreams, everyone else's comfort, everyone else's approval. Stop pouring from an empty cup and calling it love. That's not love. That's self-abandonment wearing a nice word. Real love, the love you keep trying to find out there, starts in here. It starts with you looking in the mirror and refusing to look away from your own eyes anymore. It starts with you saying, I see you. I know it's been hard. I know you're tired. I'm not leaving. Not this time. Not ever again. That's the relationship that was missing. Not the one you keep looking for out there. The one you keep abandoning in here. Unstoppable. Something happens to a person who finally finds peace within themselves. They stop shaking when people leave. They stop panicking when plans fall apart. They stop needing constant reassurance because the reassurance now comes from inside, steady, quiet, unshaken. That person becomes dangerous. Not in a violent way, in a powerful way. Because a person who does not need anyone's approval to feel whole cannot be controlled. A person who is not afraid of being alone cannot be manipulated by the threat of abandonment. A person who has already sat with their own darkest thoughts and survived cannot be broken by somebody else's opinion. That is who you are becoming. Not because life got easier, because you got stronger. You are not the same person who started listening to this today. Something in you has already begun to shift. You can feel it, that tightening in your chest, that fire starting low in your stomach, that whisper in the back of your mind saying, maybe I really can do this alone. Maybe I don't need to keep waiting. You don't. You never did. What peace actually feels like. Let me tell you what real peace feels like, because some of you have never actually felt it. So you don't know what you're building toward. Real peace is not the absence of problems. Problems will always come. Bills will still be due. People will still disappoint you. Life will still throw storms at your door. Real peace is the strength to face all of that without falling apart. Real peace is waking up and not needing a single text message to feel like your day has value. Real peace is being able to sit in a quiet room and not reach for your phone to escape your own thoughts. Real peace is looking at your reflection and not flinching. Real peace is knowing with total certainty that even if everyone left tomorrow, you would still be standing, still be building, still be becoming who you were always meant to be. That is not a fantasy. That is available to you right now, today. It is not locked behind some far-off achievement. It's not waiting for the promotion, the relationship, the apology. It's waiting for the decision. The decision to stop outsourcing your worth. The decision to build your own foundation stone by stone, in the quiet when nobody's watching. The decision to become the person you've been begging someone else to be for you. The storm is not your enemy. You're going to face storms. I'm not going to stand here and lie to you and tell you life gets easy once you find peace within yourself. It doesn't. The storms still come. But here's the difference. Before, The storm used to knock you down because you had nothing steady underneath you. No foundation, just borrowed ground. Someone else's love, someone else's approval, someone else's presence. And when that ground moved, you fell with it. Now the storm still comes. The wind still howls. The rain still falls. But you're not standing on borrowed ground anymore. You built your own ground, brick by brick, habit by habit, quiet morning by quiet morning, hard truth by hard truth. And a person standing on ground they built with their own hands does not fall the way a person standing on borrowed ground falls. You bend, you don't break, you get soaked, but you don't drown. The storm becomes background noise to a person who has already learned how to be still in their own company. Let the storms come. You're not the same person they used to knock over. Say this to yourself. I want you to say something out loud if you can, quietly if you must. But say it. I am not lost. I am becoming. I do not need to be chosen by everyone. I only need to choose myself. My peace is not for rent. It is not for sale. It does not leave when people leave. I built this, and I will keep building it. Say it again. I am not lost. I am becoming. Let that sentence live in your chest. Let it replace every lie you've been carrying about needing someone else to complete your story. You were never the missing piece waiting for someone else to arrive and complete you. You are the whole story. You always were. The legacy of a peaceful mind. Think about the life you're building right now. Not the one you're pretending to have for everyone watching, but the real one, the quiet one, the one only you know the truth about. Every disciplined morning you choose is a brick. Every time you interrupt the bully in your head and speak to yourself with respect instead, that's a brick. Every time you sit in silence instead of running from it, that's a brick. You are building something right now. Whether you realize it or not, you are building the foundation your future children will stand on. The example your friends will quietly borrow from when their own storms come. The proof to yourself that you were never as fragile as your past tried to convince you that you were. One day, you will look back at this exact version of you, tired, unsure, maybe crying somewhere quiet right now. And you will thank this version of you, because this is the version that decided. This is the version that stopped waiting. This is the version that walked into the quiet room alone and built something that no person, no heartbreak, no betrayal could ever take away again. You are not behind. Some of you think you're behind in life, in love, in success, behind everyone your age who seems to have it figured out. Let me tell you something. You are not behind. You are exactly where your story needed you to be so that this moment, this exact moment, could break something open in you. Every person who has ever built real peace, real strength, real purpose, they all had a season that looked like falling apart. That season wasn't the end of your story. It was the demolition before the construction. You cannot build something new on top of a structure that was already broken. Sometimes life has to tear it all the way down before something stronger can rise. You are not behind. You are being rebuilt. And what rises from a demolition like this is not fragile. It is unshakable. Nobody is coming. And that's good news. I told you at the beginning, nobody is coming to save you. I want you to hear that again. But this time, I want you to hear it as good news, not bad news. Because if somebody else could save you, they could also leave you. They could also disappoint you. They could also die, walk away, change, forget. But the thing you build in yourself, the discipline, the peace, the self-respect, the quiet, unshakable strength, nobody can take that from you. Nobody can fire you from your own self-belief. Nobody can break up with your own self-respect. Nobody can abandon the peace you built with your own two hands, in your own quiet room, on your own terms. That is the safest thing you will ever own. Not because it can't be tested, it will be tested, but because it cannot be taken. Only you can put it down. And you're not going to put it down, not after everything it took to build it. Nobody is coming. And for the first time in your life, that doesn't scare you. It sets you free. So here we are. You didn't come this far to go back to who you were. You didn't survive everything that tried to break you, just to hand your peace to the next person who walks through the door and treats it like it's nothing. You are done waiting for permission. You are done outsourcing your worth. You are done confusing loneliness with solitude when solitude was the doorway to the strongest version of you the whole time. From this moment forward, your peace does not leave when they leave. Your joy does not depend on their mood. Your worth does not fluctuate based on who stayed and who left. You built something today that cannot be taken from you. Not by heartbreak, not by betrayal, not by silence, not by the empty room you used to be afraid of. That room isn't empty anymore. You're in it, and you are enough company for yourself. So walk out of here different. Walk out of here quieter, but stronger. Walk out of here needing less applause and feeling more peace than you've felt in years. Because you were never the person waiting to be found. You were always the one who had to find yourself. And today, you did. Stand tall, breathe deep. You are not alone. You are just finally home in yourself. Now go build the life only you can build. Nobody else is required. You were always enough.